All right, welcome to another deep dive. You guys sent in some fascinating stuff from this global marketing expert, Brando, and his company, BrandPositioning Group.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, going through these documents was like striking gold. There's so much to unpack here.
I agree.
So much. Like this uncomfortable truth, as Brando calls it, about brand positioning.
Right.
Apparently, a lot of brands just don't have a clear one, or their teams don't even really get it.
It's surprising how common that is.
Yeah, and then there are all these surprising challenges that pop up when you're building a brand globally.
Yes, even the big companies stumble on those.
Exactly. And then there's this whole local tension thing, how it can totally make or break a campaign.
Such a crucial element.
Absolutely. So to help us dissect all of this, I've got our expert here. They're a master at breaking down these marketing strategies, and they really understand what makes consumers tick.
Always happy to dive in. And you're right, these documents are packed with insights. It's going to be really interesting to see how Brando's experience working both with agencies and in-house shapes his perspective on these issues.
Okay, so let's get right to it. Brando starts off by saying that a lot of brands just don't have a solid brand positioning.
Right.
What does that even mean? And why is it such a big deal?
Well, imagine you're building a house.
Okay.
You wouldn't just start throwing bricks together, right?
No, you need a plan.
Exactly. A blueprint, a solid foundation.
Right.
And that's what brand positioning is. It's the foundation of your brand.
Got it.
It tells you what you stand for, your values, who you're talking to, and what makes you different.
Makes sense.
Without that foundation, any marketing you do is
Building on sand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might look good at first, but it's not going to last.
Brando even talks about how he's suffered enough with agencies who were more focused on winning awards than actually helping the brand succeed.
Yeah. That's such a common problem. Agencies sometimes get so caught up in those flashy campaigns that they kind of lose sight of the brand's core message.
Yeah, what are we even trying to say here?
Exactly. And what are the objectives? It's like they're building a house with all the bells and whistles, but forgetting to, connect it to the plumbing.
I love that analogy. Have you ever looked at a brand's ads and been totally confused about what they were even selling?
All the time.
Or maybe you knew what they sold, but you had no idea what the brand actually stood for.
Oh, yeah, it happens a lot.
I know I have.
Right. It's a clear sign of weak brand positioning.
So it's not just confusing for us, the consumers.
Right.
It's also a waste of money for the brand, right?
Absolutely. When your messaging is all over the place, you're basically wasting money and effort trying to reach everyone instead of focusing on the people who are actually most likely to, connect with your brand.
So a strong brand positioning is like
a magnet.
Pulling in the right customers and building a relationship with them. Now, let's move on to Brando's take on the challenges of building a brand globally.
Yes. Let's get into that.
Some of these are pretty surprising, like the whole stakeholder management thing.
Yeah, he says it can be a real nightmare.
It can be a nightmare.
It really can. You might have this amazing campaign idea, but if you can't get buy-in from the key people within the company,
it's dead.
It's dead in the water. He actually gives this example. Imagine a CEO who suddenly decides they hate the color blue in your campaign right before lunch.
Oh, no.
It sounds crazy.
It does.
But it happens more often than you think. Internal politics, personal preferences, they can completely derail even the most well thought out campaigns.
Wow.
So that's why Brando really stresses clear communication and alignment from the very beginning.
Everyone needs to be on board with the brand positioning and the campaign strategy.
Yes, before you even start thinking about creative concepts.
And then there's this whole global consistency versus local relevancy dilemma. Yep. How do you create a unified brand voice that resonates across different cultures?
It's tough.
Without coming across as, tone deaf or insensitive.
It's a tough balancing act, but Brando seems to really get it. He talks about understanding the local tension.
What's that?
Those little cultural nuances and preferences that shape how a brand is perceived in different markets.
So it's not just about translating your tagline into different languages.
Exactly.
It's about really understanding how your brand fits into people's lives in different parts of the world.
Yes, being sensitive to cultural values, social norms, even humor.
Yeah, because what's funny in one culture might be totally offensive in another.
Exactly.
And Brando, he's a big fan of what marketers call vox pops. Basically going out and talking to real people.
Oh, yeah.
Observing them in their natural environment.
He used them extensively in places like Brazil, Argentina, the UAE, and Indonesia.
Wow. So they were really getting out there.
Yeah, they were. That kind of direct observation can give you some really valuable insights into how a product is actually used and perceived in different cultures.
It's like so much better than just sitting in a sterile focus group room, right?
Absolutely. It's much more authentic and insightful.
It sounds like Brando really emphasizes 3 key pre-campaign steps.
Let's hear them.
First, reviewing the brand positioning to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Okay.
Second, analyzing past campaigns to learn from both the successes and the failures.
Yes.
And of course, that meticulous stakeholder management to avoid any last-minute surprises.
Right. Those steps might seem obvious, but they're often overlooked in the rush to get a campaign out the door.
And without that solid groundwork,
even the most creative and innovative campaign can fall flat.
Speaking of creative campaigns, Brando has this very specific philosophy that he calls the campaign ecosystem.
I was wondering about that.
Let's dive into that after a quick break.
Sounds good. So this campaign ecosystem, what is it exactly?
Well, it's Brando's way of saying that a campaign, it's not just about like a flashy video or a catchy slogan.
Right.
It's like a whole interconnected system of all these elements that are working together to, to achieve a specific goal.
He makes a big point that creative videos are just one piece of the puzzle.
One piece.
You need a clear call to action that tells people exactly what you want them to do.
Right, like visit the website,
make a purchase,
sign up for the newsletter,
whatever it is.
He even calls out brands that have those like super gorgeous social media ads.
I know.
With zero call to action.
Look at a waste.
Like, what's the point?
It's like building this beautiful bridge, but forgetting to connect it to the other side.
Right. And he shares this amazing quote from one of his mentors.
Wow, I love when he does that.
Communication is not sending the right message, but provoking the right desired response.
That's so good.
Isn't that good?
It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? From just broadcasting a message to actually creating an experience that drives action.
And he's really adamant that the call to action should be like seductive.
Oh, I like that.
Not dull.
Enticing.
It should make people want to engage with the brand.
Yeah.
And take that next step.
Instead of those click here buttons you see everywhere.
I know. So generic.
So uninspiring.
A truly effective call to action should be more like a personalized invocation.
Yes, like something that makes you actually want to click it.
He mentions working on a book with a friend called Campaign Engineering.
Ooh, Campaign Engineering.
Though it never got finished.
Ah, too bad. I love that title.
I know, it's a great title.
It really captures this whole philosophy, right?
It does.
He sees campaign development as this strategic process where every element is carefully designed and engineered.
You get results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about being creative, right?
He cautions against those like freaky, creative, daring video concepts.
I've seen a few.
That win awards for agencies.
Right, but don't actually move the needle for the brand.
What's the point of that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at some of Brando's actual campaigns.
Let's see them in action.
And see how he puts these principles into practice.
Love it.
He mentions Midea's #ImHome campaign.
Okay, Midea.
And from what I understand, this campaign was all about connecting with consumers on an emotional level.
Yeah, tapping into that feeling of
home,
comfort, belonging.
Which makes sense for a brand like Midea, right? They sell home appliances.
Exactly. They want their products to be seen as more than just, appliances.
More than just functional.
Part of creating that like cozy, inviting atmosphere.
And he specifically mentions using those Vox Pops we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
For this campaign in like Brazil, Argentina, Russia, Saudi Arabia.
Interesting.
They really wanted to understand what home means to people in different cultures.
Because it can be so different, right?
It can. What feels like home in one place might feel totally different somewhere else.
Exactly. And he doesn't go into detail about the specific insights they gained, but he stresses how valuable those real-world observations were in shaping the campaign.
Yeah, he does.
It'd be really cool to see how those insights translated into different creative executions for those markets,
Totally. Like, did they use different imagery, different music?
Different storytelling approaches. Even he also talks about Toshiba's #DetailsMatter and hashtag the details behind the details campaigns.
Toshiba, okay.
Those campaigns seem to focus on the craftsmanship and the innovation.
Highlighting the detail.
Behind their products.
Yeah, but how do you make something like details exciting for consumers?
That's a good question. I think that's where #the details behind the details comes in.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of just saying details matter, they're showing you why and how.
Maybe they're showing like the engineers and the designers.
The process.
The meticulous processes that go into making these products.
Yeah. Humanizing the brand.
The stories.
That make those details more relatable and meaningful.
And stories are powerful.
Super powerful.
They really connect with people.
They do.
Brando also touches on his experience with sports sponsorships.
Oh, right. He's worked with some big names.
FINA, Manchester City, the AFF Suzuki Cup, even Erling Haaland.
Wow, that's quite a diverse range of experience.
He's done a lot.
Shows how those principles can be applied across so many different industries and contexts.
He mentions that campaigns are a holistic construct.
Okay.
And that creative videos are only one piece within the larger campaign ecosystem.
It's all connected.
Which seems even more true in sponsorships, right?
You've got events, social media, athlete endorsements.
Merchandise, the whole 9 yards.
It's about creating a consistent and engaging experience across all of those touch points.
Right, so no matter how people are interacting with the brand.
Whether they're watching a match or scrolling through social media or wearing a branded t-shirt.
They should have the same positive association.
Exactly. It sounds like Brando has a real talent for finding those strategic partnerships.
It does.
Creating campaigns that deliver value for both the brand and, the organization or individual being sponsored.
It's not just about slapping a logo on something.
It's about creating authentic connections and shared narratives that resonate with fans.
Well, we've only just scratched the surface of Brando's expertise.
I know.
There's so much more to explore here, from his work on specific campaigns to his thoughts on campaign engineering and the importance of provoking the right response.
And he mentions that Brand Group has podcasts.
They do.
And they offer consultations.
They do.
Might be worth checking out their website.
Before we do that, let's do a quick recap of what we've learned today.
Okay, recap time.
We started with Brando's uncomfortable truth about the importance of a strong brand positioning.
The foundation.
Then we explored the often surprising challenges of global brand building.
So many challenges.
We talked about the need for clear communication, stakeholder management, and finding that sweet spot between global consistency and local relevance.
It's a balancing act.
And finally, we dug into Brando's campaign ecosystem,
where every element is strategically placed
to provoke the right response from the audience.
It's been a fascinating journey so far.
It has.
I'm curious to see what other gems we can uncover from Brando's work.
Let's take a look at that website. Going through all of this, one thing that really stuck with me was Brando's emphasis on vitamin B+.
Yes. It's not just what you know, but who you know, right?
Right. He really highlights the importance of, networking.
Building relationships.
Especially in this industry.
Especially when you're dealing with global brands and campaigns.
You need to have people you trust.
Collaborators.
All over the world.
A global network.
And Brando, he's got over 25 years of experience working across agencies, brands, research firms.
That's impressive.
And he's traveled to over 60 countries.
He's been everywhere.
That's a serious network, right?
A global brain trust.
And he calls his company the Brando Group.
Clever.
It's more than just a clever name, though. It reflects his whole philosophy of, bringing together this diverse group of talented individuals.
Just make something amazing happen.
To achieve something remarkable.
He even calls them special and a bit weird humans.
I love that.
It's great.
It speaks to the power of, individuality and different perspectives.
You don't want a team of yes men.
No. You aren't people who will challenge you.
Push you to think differently.
And he has this whole B+ credo.
Yeah.
It represents his commitment to helping others.
Helping them be more connected.
Inspired, challenged.
Consulted, trained. The list goes on.
It's really inspiring to see someone so passionate about, sharing their knowledge and experience.
It's contagious.
It makes you want to be more generous with your own knowledge and connections.
It does.
Thinking about Brando's B+ philosophy makes me think about our own amazing network of listeners.
Oh, I love that.
Imagine the power we have if we all, embrace that spirit of collaboration.
And shared learning.
We could achieve so much more together.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's take that B+ energy with us.
Be more curious.
More engaged.
More open to connecting with others who share our passions.
And who knows, maybe we'll even stumble upon our own uncomfortable truths along the way.
Those insights that challenge our assumptions and push us to grow.
Remember, the deep dive never really ends.
There's always more to explore.
More to discover. More to share.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.